Oh, so you have a picture of it? Hi, everybody. We're not quite ready to start because we're having this oh my God moment on something unrelated. Although it is 7:01. So give me a moment.
I'll stop distracting you.
Nice ears.
Oh, better to hear you, right?
Oh, thank you. I can hear you
Hello.
and your neighbors.
Okay.
Hello. Hi, Norma.
Laura, can you make that a little bit larger?
Like that?
Yes.
I can. Look at that.
No.
No, Teresa's the expert at this. So I don't mind when she says this. She knows what she's talking about. Okay.
Should probably trade seats with.
No. She's here as a participant. She shouldn't have to, always be
And make it a
support.
little larger and point out.
No, I'm good. Okay, it is 7:02, and I guess I should just go ahead and start the meeting. And Jess is here as well from your team.
Yes,
So is Jess going to be your Zoom presenter?
I think she will present the presentation.
Jess, if you want to confirm that, I will make you a co-host.
Hi there. Yes.
So I can take care of, housekeeping before we really start. Okay. All right. So I am Laura Myers. I am the chair of this committee, and I am on the UNNC board, and I'm going to share the screen with our agenda, and at the same time we can do introductions. I've had a very long week and it's only halfway through, and I'm having a little trouble finding some of my words apparently, but in any case, so Donna, if you could introduce yourself and then we'll go around the room while I'm doing the share screen.
Hi, Donna Jones, West Adams Avenues.
Of course, that's a bad idea because they can't see you. I'm gonna stop the share and we'll do introductions.
Are you gonna, do we need to do the other portion of that?
Well, yes, I guess I should say, for UNNC's committees, so I'm just gonna say that to our presenters. I'm not gonna call you guests because you're right here in the neighborhood anyway. UNNC only appoints chairs or chairs and co-chairs to our committees, and otherwise we invite stakeholders to participate fully in our meetings in terms of not just discussion, but they can make a motion and a quote stakeholder can vote. So city council has defined what is a stakeholder, and it is a person who lives, works, owns a business, track already, attends school, is a parent of someone who attends school, worships at a local church, and or participates with a nonprofit organization which has a brick and mortar address within the UNNC boundaries. So that kind of, for tonight, pretty much incorporates everybody who's here.
Oh, so even
Because-
as a school, they will be allowed to.
Well, as the owner of the school, the worker at the school.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is not a voting, but there's not a voting action tonight anyway, because they have not yet
I know they're here presenting, I know.
for an item not yet even submitted to the city. So, yeah. Hi, Colleen. So we're just at introductions and who is a stakeholder. So again, I'm Laura Myers. I live in Angeles Vista. I'm on the UNNC board, and I am a stakeholder.
Hi, Donna Jones. I'm from West Adams Avenues, where we are, and I'm a stakeholder.
I'm David Murray. I live in West Adams and I'm a stakeholder.
Norma Davis with people.
Teresa Masonette with West Adams Avenues, also on UNNC tree committee.
I'm Colleen. I live in Jefferson Park. I'm a stakeholder.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeanette Rodriguez-Pack, and I am the CEO of STEM Prep Schools.
And I'm Eric Barlow, and I'm the president and chief operating officer for STEM Prep.
Okay, and then we go to our participants online. Steve, but you're muted.
I'm Steve Peckman. I live in Jefferson Park. I'm a stakeholder.
And Jess.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I work at STEM Prep Schools and I am a stakeholder.
And Marina.
Hello, I'm Marina Maves. I live in Jefferson Park and I'm a stakeholder.
So now people may still continue to arrive tonight. So I'm going to share that screen again. And let's quickly go through the agenda. So we just did do welcome, call to order, review of the standing rule, voting affirmation. The next item is general public comments, and that's comments on anything not on our agenda tonight, and which is relevant to the UNNC. Then the primary agenda item is an update to case number CPC 2009-3965 CU PA3. That's the last case number.
Correct.
STEM Prep School, 3200 West Adams Boulevard, and AKA Math and Science College Preparatory Charter School will be submitting to do a PA plan approval for sometime very soon. And so we'll be talking about that tonight. Item 4 is follow-up or update to previous cases, ENS, old business, and I did put SB 79 update. I don't know if we actually have one, but that's one thing we've been talking about quite a bit. And then we will adjourn. So I'm going to stop the share and ask if apparently there are any public comments.
So my public comment is I'm very concerned that Donna is here rather than at her job at the North Pole so near to Christmas. So I'm very, very concerned about things getting done up there in the right way.
Well,
They're in Europe fast.
If only you could see the pile of toys behind us that people have been bringing for the kids in this neighborhood. And I encourage anybody, if you happen to still have an unwrapped toy, to give to the elves who work at South Seats House tomorrow. Just bring it by during the work day and unwrap toy and pop it in and donate them.
See, I've been very busy, Steve.
Okay, and so speaking of, there is also on this Saturday, the 20th, the toys will be given away among many other activities at the winter holiday event here at South Seas House and in the adjacent park from
10 o'clock in the morning until 12.
10 to 12. Okay.
Santa will be visiting. I have it on good.
Okay, are there any other general public comments of any sort? Okay, thank you. So we are gonna move on to our item 3, which is I'm sure why most of us are here tonight. So you'll tell us exactly what you're gonna tell us, but I will again just say that there will be a new case, and it'll be PA4 sometime soon, but you'll have to you don't even know if you have a final application because the city will have to say yes or no. It's not final, but essentially our previous case, the most recent previous case, had basically said that the annex building, which shows on the plans that you'll see tonight and on the prior plans, shows as an office building. And if it were to be converted to classroom space, then there's another plan approval hearing and case that would be required.
Excuse me, it's got a message from Beverly Rowe. She's could you please send a Zoom link?
I have no ability to send a Zoom link during the middle of the meeting. Thank you. Sorry, I just can't do that. Okay, anyway, so that's where. Okay, so basically that's where we are. The current plan is to go ahead and request to do that. So I'm handing over the meeting. Great. And just whenever you start presenting whenever you need to. Yeah. And if you could reintroduce yourself.
Yeah, we will. Jess, are you able to share the presentation? Here it comes.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us today. Just a quick reintroduction. I'm Jeanette Rodriguez-Tack. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of STEM Prep Schools. I have been with STEM Prep since its foundation and since Math and Science College Prep. We also call it MSCP for short, so if you prefer to do that, you can. I have been with MSCP since its beginning. I was the principal there, the founding principal, and
Don't forget to also talk to them.
sorry, and eventually moved over into the role of CEO this year. So it's my first year as CEO. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Next slide, Jess. Thanks. There you go. So STEM Prep Schools, just so you know, if you're not too familiar, we have 3 schools. We have an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school, all within the surrounding neighborhood. We service over 1,300 students, and we expand grades TK through 12. Our core values are we are family, we are STEM thinkers, and we are agents of change. And our mission and vision is to disrupt the status quo for people of color by getting them into the fields of STEM, which are severely underrepresented by minorities and females. And so we work really hard to expose our kids to different STEM pathways so that they could eventually go off to college, major in STEM, and then become future STEM professionals, ideally that come back to our community. Thanks, Jess. That's a picture of the school. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you've also seen some of our banners throughout the neighborhood, just advertising our schools in general. But that's Math and Science College Prep. It's located on Adams, just down the street from us. And we do have a track record of success. Sorry, we forgot to put in the little dash there, but we have graduated over 1,000 students so far between all of the different graduating classes that we've had. We can boast that we have a 99% high school graduation rate, and within that, we have 98% of our students that are graduating and getting into a 4-year university. And within that 99% of our students getting into a 4-year university, about 67% are going in with a declared STEM major. So we're really doing a great job of living out our mission and vision of ensuring that the kids in our community have access to STEM careers by them going off and majoring in STEM majors.
You know, I'd like to interrupt for one moment, just in case anyone here or on YouTube doesn't know what STEM is.
I am so sorry. Yeah, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So all of those, like the most lucrative careers out there, right? The forever like growing industry. We just want to make sure that our kids have access to those careers, become the future engineers, future computer scientists, and doctors. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jeanette. So like I said before, I'm Eric Barlow. I'm the President and Chief Operating Officer. I was also part of the founding team of STEM Prep back in 2013. And so I want to talk a little bit about the request that we're making now. So Jess, you can go to the next slide. So the like Laura mentioned, the scope of work is just in the annex, which is that small building kind of behind the sanctuary building. So like Laura mentioned, the prior plan approvals going back to 2010, even before we moved in, had always anticipated that someday that annex would be converted to 4 classrooms, but it hasn't happened. But now we're finding the need for some classroom space. So we're submitting a request to kind of convert that to classrooms. You can go to the next slide, Jess. So this is the proposed floor plan. Right now, it is offices, but it will be converted to 4 classrooms, plus the required bathrooms. And then this is the east elevation, so you can kind of see the exterior and the changes that are happening. I have a larger picture on the next slide, but before we go there, I just want to note that there's no, the exterior work is very minor. There's a new stairwell for safe egress, and then there's a couple of changes to the windows, but none of those changes are visible from the street because they're kind of in the courtyard behind the sanctuary building.
Can you remind us what year that the annex was built?
As
You know.
from what I can tell, it was the same time as the sanctuary in 1955. Yeah. And there's no change to the height, no change to the footprint of the building. So I've kind of marked there, you see the new stairwell and the new windows. Let's see. So along with that, we are looking to bring in 125 more students to the campus. So right now we have a wait list of over 200 students. And like Jeanette mentioned, we also have another school nearby. It's actually on 24th Street right now. It's co-located with the 24th Street Elementary School. And so 80% of the students from that school, which is our middle school, end up matriculating into our high school. So we think that the cost of that, sharing the space with the LUSD campus, has gone up significantly. So we're looking at other options, and we would like to put at least some of those students, bring some of those students onto the Adams campus. So that would be 125 more students and about 5 more teachers. But right now we have about 25 staff members who use that space as offices. So those are kind of our like corporate offices. And those folks would be moving off-site when the building is converted to classrooms, because their offices won't be there. So there'll actually be a net reduction in cars demand in the lot in terms of parking. Because students aren't driving to school, that's one of the conditions. So there's no students driving. And a lot of our students already have siblings already at the high school. So that will mitigate the number of additional car trips that are going there. And as a reminder, we're also all the pickup and drop off is happening kind of interior to the campus through that loop that you can see from at the top, the entrance driveway through to the back building and then out. And there's about 20 every day, about 20 to 30 cars in that loop at any given time during kind of the pickup time. But it has capacity we've counted up to about 50 cars. So that's how we're doing pickup and drop off. So those are the changes that's really the extent of the changes that we're asking for. And like Laura mentioned, we haven't submitted yet, but we really wanted to come, get feedback from the community, from this committee. So invite your questions and feedback.
Can you remind us how many parking spaces there are actually?
85.
Right, so it's way over parked.
What do you mean?
Well, you have empty spaces, I presume.
Oh, you're saying there's plenty of parking spaces, right? Right. Yeah, there's plenty of paid spaces for the staff and visitors. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other slides?
No, that's it.
Okay, so Steve has his hand up, but let's take the slides off for the moment.
Yeah.
But be prepared to put them back. Yes, Steve.
I have a couple questions. My first is, if I understood correctly, you plan to add 124 students to this site?
125. Yes.
125, thank you. And 2 or 3 teachers?
Probably about 5 for that.
5 teachers? Okay.
Yes.
And how many children do you currently have at the site?
540.
So this will bring the total to 700?
It'll be, well, the current approval in the condition is for 550. So we're asking to increase that by 125 to 675.
So close to 700, 675.
Yes.
And with the new configuration, have you consulted with the fire department regarding fire issues, ingress, egress, etc.?
So we haven't submitted the plans to the city yet, but our architect has a lot of experience with schools, and of course we'll take any kind of feedback or comments from the fire department. Yeah,
Because fire safety is a big issue, especially for a building that wasn't built intentionally for this kind of use.
Of course.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I just want to piggyback though.
Mhm.
Have you spoken, has your architect spoken to the Office of Historic Resources? Because I'll remind you
Mhm.
that one of your requirements, this building,
Yep.
if it's part of the original.
Yep.
Is to follow all Secretary of Interior standards as well, because it is deemed a historic building. Doesn't matter if you can see it from the street or not.
Mhm.
The whole thing has to be treated. You know, because it's not just HPOC, it had that other evaluation. If you.
Okay, what was the,
The
Office of Historic
Resources, it'd be Lambert Giesinger
okay,
or Melissa or Melissa. I should know this. The whole list to do Lambert Giesinger.
okay,
And so your architect needs to have, so in other words, the staircase has to be safe, but
of course,
it also has to be compatible. I mean, so the design might be different than what you
Okay.
already have.
okay,
I don't know the answer, but that's,
sure,
it has to be Secretary of Interior standards. And
Okay.
safety trumps historic, but not completely.
of course.
Yes, Colleen?
You anticipated my question, Laura, which is what is the status of the building? What is the historic status of the building? Do you remember?
Well-
Or what its code is?
Well, gutted on the inside, but that aside, that's the reason why it's required to have Secretary of Interior.
No, I understand, but I'm asking,
Condition.
what is the status of it? Is it,
It-
is it a city landmark?
It is not a
on the
designated
National
city
Register?
landmark.
What are, yeah,
I guess you would say in this case, it's by consensus that the whole building, not the rear building, but the whole former St. James Armenian Church complex has to, for the conditional use permit, has to be treated with Secretary of Interior standards. So when the interior of the sanctuary was gutted, we had a real bad several months, shall we say. And they had a historic consultant who basically said that the character of the building was its height and volume, and not necessarily its interior features. But they are required to keep stained glass windows, which depict the Armenian saints, and the copper dome, and essentially the whole outside is supposed, not just the facing the street, but that's your issue. It's not just the facing the
Understood.
street.
Yeah.
Is to stay, and that's part of the conditions.
okay, I still would like to know what the status is, but
Well,
I'll look it up, that's
but-
okay.
but-
Marina has her hand raised, and then I have another.
Okay, sorry, because I can't see two different
No, I get you,
directions.
but I'm guessing Marina has some information to share.
Marina, maybe she
Isn't
does.
Yeah, isn't that building in the Jefferson Park HPOZ?
Yes, it's also HPOZ, but I'm saying per the conditional use permit, you look around, the whole building has to be treated with Secretary of Interior standards, not just the street facing.
Well, for the HPOZ, it's all street visible, so it would be the front and the sides.
Okay, correct. But the conditional use permit goes a little bit farther.
South side.
So.
Okay.
My follow-up question, or not follow-up question, is I was just wondering if you guys wouldn't mind taking a step back. And I wasn't here for any of the
Yeah, I think
2010 meetings, and I just wondered maybe other people are in the same position where it would be just helpful to know kind of, why do you need a conditional use permit? Just kind of that level setting.
So you probably have to go back
Well,
before your.
Yeah, that's right.
It goes back even longer than their ownership.
So I can give I can make my best attempt, and Laura, feel
And then
free,
fill in.
and Laura and
Because I
Donna.
went to the hearings.
Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
let me see, I think I may have if I can find it. Oh, but I'm not sharing. Anyway, so based on the research that we found, the building was built in 1955. It was originally the St. James Armenian Church. And like Laura mentioned, it has a lot of lovely stained glass that depicts Armenian saints as well as churches in Armenia. And there's also a number of murals interior to the building. After that, that congregation moved. I forget the timing. Probably it was sometime in the late 20s, in the 70s, I think, down to like Westchester.
Correct.
And then several other church congregations occupied the building. I think it was,
Well, another it was the apostolic something.
I think before that there was a Baptist church, because I found some.
Oh, yes, Mount Sinai Baptist.
Mount Sinai Baptist.
Short period of
Sam
time.
Cooke's funeral was there.
Correct.
And then, yes, then it was an apostolic church. And I believe it was in the 1990s, the apostolic fellowship built the back building.
Which is an education building.
Right, right.
For schools.
So it's 4 stories, and that's where most of our classrooms are. And actually all the classrooms. And then I think very shortly after that, that congregation left. I'm not sure what became of it, but the property was that I believe that they actually the first charter school that was in there maybe was leasing from the church at that time.
Yeah, so there was another charter school.
Yeah, and then the church sold the property. It was purchased by a developer. And so there was several charter schools that were in there. But I believe it wasn't until 2009, which reflects the date on the case number, when the first case came up. And I think at that time it was because it kind of came to the attention of maybe the neighborhood council. Yeah.
I can still say it's not the neighborhood council. What happened was when Apostolic Faith got the variance to build the rear building, it was still the school was related to the church.
Right.
So it was not a conditional use permit that was required because it was a church school,
Right.
but there was variances required, and I don't remember why. And so in 2009, obviously, whoever it was that was operating a charter school, it no longer was related to a church. It was now a actual bona fide school.
Right. So per the zoning code, a charter school is by right, I believe in under like commercial zoning, but this is zoned residential. So a conditional use permit is required for the site. So at that time, they sought the conditional use permit. There are a number of conditions that were agreed upon, including the one I referenced tonight about, doing another plan approval to convert those office spaces into classrooms.
And there a lot of the conditions. So there's the most recent was PA3. So there was the original, then there was a plan approval 1,
Yep.
then a plan approval 2,
Yep.
then a plan approval 3, and then we're moving forward. So at some point, the situation became problematic in terms of a lot of the traffic and safety issues. I mean, there were kids running across Adams Boulevard at 3:30 in the afternoon, among other problems, and parents queuing up on 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue. I mean, it was just a mess. And I don't recall if it was a mess 100% under your watch or began being a mess under the previous school. The previous school ran into a lot of problems at several of their locations. I'm not remembering the name of the school, but that's, yes,
I think that's right.
ISF. So I think some of these issues started then. Unfortunately, these folks made it worse, sorry to say, but because we basically had an issue when they planning to convert and then did convert the church sanctuary building into a more multi-purpose, including basketball, which I don't know if you're still doing basketball, but they had submitted one plan to the HPOZ, one plan to the zoning administrator for the conditional use permit, and a 3rd plan to building and safety. So they didn't match. The one that went to building and safety showed the demolition of the interior. The one that went to the HPOZ and the plan, just when I say they, I don't mean 2 people sitting here. I mean, the architect, whoever it was, is probably who did all of this. But it was, so pointed out, among other things, a problem in processing because there should only be one plan. There shouldn't be 3. So there was
So
a
what's the
big
plan
level.
now? What is
Well,
the
that's
status
already
now?
got it.
Okay,
So
so how is the sanctuary used now? Is it still like a PE, a gym, or?
Yeah, it's a multi-purpose
Multi-purpose
room, so multiple purposes, but yeah, we do house a number of different events inside of the multi-purpose room. For families, for students.
But like for basketball, like are there tournaments? Do other schools come to have basketball meetings?
I don't think we've held a tournament where there's like multiple teams coming through, but definitely there are games. Yeah, so that we are in CIF.
I only asked so I can get a better idea about the traffic. But I think that's what for the people.
Yeah,
So sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay, because part of the other issue, the traffic issue, and I know at some point you're gonna weigh in, but any conditions we put on this school do not apply to Prescott right next door.
Yeah.
So the buses sometimes block their driveway. I mean, there's continuing this on and off. There's no forbiddenness for the parents of kids at Prescott to do whatever they want to do to pick up their kids, for example. So, yeah, so there's a lot of restrictions that we hope can be enforced. And every year there's maybe a new group of parents, and the parents are supposed to sign a document saying they understand and they agree for them, but there's no such controls on Prescott. So it's a
So how do
little,
we know that the traffic problems that everybody's concerned about is coming from this school and not from?
well, when I say traffic, I mean,
Combo. It is a combo.
it's a combo, but when I say
Because
traffic, it was the
for the other-
safety. But we just don't want kids darting
Across the street.
you know.
for sure.
And then we did notice the age group was different. The little kids are not being dropped in the middle of the street to go to school. So it was the
We are-
older kids.
We definitely observe regularly elementary school students being dropped off. I don't, maybe on the street, they're pulling over even where
But
on the
I'm-
red. There.
Problems with people pulling over in the middle of traffic
Got it.
Yeah,
and crossing, and nobody was
Oh.
letting a fourth grader or
Yeah.
whatever cross.
Well, for sure, we should, nobody should be, no kids,
Oh,
should do
no.
whatever they're.
No.
Yeah.
I have a question. I live on Second,
Okay,
25th Road.
I'm sorry, we've been doing this so badly. When we're here in this room, we should all identify who it is that's speaking. This is Laura speaking, because the transcript is gonna capture UNNC president for every speaker. So from this moment forward, sorry, so if you could identify yourself and then speak.
Davis. I live on 25th and Second.
okay,
And my street, 25th Street, is a very short street. We always had a problem with kids, students parking on the street
Mhm.
because we don't have enough parking.
Mhm.
My building is a short street, it blocks. 25th curves around and it stops right on Second, right to Arlington. And we have an issue with that because there's not enough parking, and we also have a problem with children from the last previous coming through the neighborhood, throwing trash cans,
Mhm.
knocking over trash.
Mhm.
We had a problem with that.
Yeah,
So I'm concerned, my neighbors are concerned about our little section
for sure,
because we're closer to the school than
right,
anybody else. So we do have some issues concerned about.
for sure. Yeah, and I think, those are the type of things, talking back to 2015 when we moved in, those were the, the concerns that we heard at that time. And, I think since then, we have tried very hard, to try to be good neighbors, and definitely open to your feedback. I want to hear from you in the ways in which, maybe we're still falling short, but we really do want to be, considerate of everybody who's in the community. And be, we consider ourselves part of the community, and we want to be contributing to it and not causing more problems. So yeah, definitely, any concerns like that are still happening, please let us.
So I'm called direct, you're the principal.
So
Jess is the contact.
Jess is our like compliance reporting contact, so on the front of the school.
Yeah.
At the front fence, there's a black and red sign that has the hotline number, so you can feel free to call that. That goes straight to the school main office, and if nobody answers, there's like a dedicated mailbox for it, so make sure you get those concerns. And I can give you, if I have a card, give you my card too.
You may be aware, Jess is certainly aware. There is another condition that once a month, an email goes out to the council office and to UNNC, goes to the president's email with a report of how many complaints, if any, that they received on the complaint hotline.
That's right, that's right.
When Is that status shared with the board?
Well, because there's so many zeros.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's,
Like, because Laura said.
I mean,
Are those concerns still present?
Well, we don't-
Okay, and those concerns are still present today?
Well, school is not in session right now, I think for the holidays, but we have had a big issue with that.
Okay,
Because like I said before, where I live, I'm right in the middle, right in that section. And
so
it's a
are
problem.
parents lining up there to pick up their kids? This is
Well,
Laura's
it's the
asking
traffic,
a
it's the
question.
traffic and, then there was.
No, I'm
kids.
asking because we had, and we did have a temporary issue that's been fixed. This school year on Fourth
Oh,
Avenue,
yeah.
where they were suddenly something that hadn't happened for the last few years.
But it's the traffic.
Queuing up on Fourth Avenue to have their kids come, and there seems to have been an underlying reason that relates to what's happening in the world with immigrants. And the parents were afraid kids walk home. And that has been resolved, because I called the hotline and they
Yes.
complained.
yeah, we're really committed to being,
Yeah.
like Eric said, good neighbors. So when we hear about things, we work really hard to fix them because this is our community too. These kids are from this community and we consider ourselves part of it.
Beverly has her hand up, but are you finished?
Yeah.
Beverly?
Yeah, I was just curious as to how much more revenue does 100 or will 125 new students bring to the school?
Are they new?
off the top of my head. Yeah, it's about roughly $15,000 per student in revenue. So what's that? 125,000 plus another half. So $200,000, something like that. But to Laura's point, it most likely that our current plan is that we would be moving our existing students who are at 24th Street to Adams. So it's not a net new addition of students to the neighborhood, actually. That a lot of that traffic is already in the part of the neighborhood.
Thank you.
David, I know you have some comments, Colleen. Let's stand up.
Yeah, I want to make sure other people who haven't asked questions have a chance to ask
Yeah,
questions.
I have some more too, but I want to make sure.
Well, I wanted to follow up on, you were mentioning your student body being local, and I'm just wondering, this is not a fair question because you didn't come prepared, but do you have a sense, have you done any mapping to sort of have like, where are your students coming from? Like when you say, sometimes we have people come to our meetings and they say they're from the community.
Right.
And it's just a nice question. Yes.
It is a very broad.
Yeah, I don't have a specific number for you tonight, but that is something we do have data on. I know one thing we looked at recently was how many students are driving versus taking the bus. And the majority of students do walk, or based on we counted the number of car trips, like cars in and out. And based on that number, making an estimate for how many staff are there, more students are walking or taking public transit than coming by.
By car, he means a parent dropping.
Right,
Of course.
right. And if you look at, we have done a mapping, I haven't done one recently, but if you looked at it in the past, there definitely is a concentration of students. There definitely are students coming from further. That's right, because we as a charter school, we can't restrict where students are coming from. We have no like when kids apply, it's just which grade level, that's really it, and a lottery, right? So we are attracting some students from further, but you can see there is a concentration of students the closer you get to the school.
Yeah, I think that kind of mapping, that in a visual, when you do come again for an action, that might be helpful, and it might be
Okay, sure.
for the closest neighbors to sort of understand also
Yeah.
who's walking and who's
Yeah.
coming.
Okay.
David, again, I'm not sure if you had anything.
Always.
Okay, so one of the things, this is Laura speaking.
Donna.
Oh, Donna. Go ahead.
Yeah, age group of the kids you're talking about, you bring in the middle school to put with the high school?
That's right. So currently.
You're ending middle school at 24 and moving them.
It's not, yeah, that's the plan. Obviously, this, we have to be working with some multiple options because, the plan approval timeline is so long, 6 to 12 months to get it approved. So most likely, the middle school will still be on that 24th Street campus next year, but we are looking at other options to relocate that school. Like I said, it's too expensive for the school to stay there. But yes, to your question, the current condition allows up to 550 students in elementary, middle, or high. So of any grade level. But our plan would be to bring in students currently on the campus. There's only students from 9th to 12th grade. And the plan would be to bring in students in some combination of 6th to 8th grade. Again, it depends on what other options we find for the school. So potentially we could put just the 8th grade on this campus if we find another facility for the 6th and 7th graders. I think, from a school operator perspective, right, having very young kids with the older kids, it creates some friction. So it's a lot easier if kids are in, at a narrower age range.
Also, overall, from way back when, we had a big concern about diversity.
Mhm.
And your campus has a problem.
Can you say more about that?
Well,
Can you give us some
When you-
demographics?
yeah,
That's.
and when you look at the next door Prescott
Mhm,
and then yours.
mhm.
So that is one of the concerns we've had overall from the community when we talked before.
Yeah.
That is still something that we have concern.
Yeah, I remember those previous conversations, and we have increased our efforts to recruit particularly within the West Adams community, within the Crenshaw community, particularly recruiting more Black students. And we have actually, I'll have to get back to you on the exact numbers, but that has been a priority for us in recruitment for sure.
I would like to see those numbers actually too. Yeah, I mean, just so you know, Donna Jones and I used to chair the Recreation and Parks Committee for the UNNC. And we actually brought in USC who did a STEM program, an after-school STEM program, so.
Here in this room.
Yeah, so we're both, well, past few years have been committed to kind of elevating some of the kids around here, especially the kids who come to that after-school program here, so. The community is diverse. I mean, it's old school African American, it's gentrifying. So, and are your students selected only by lottery, or do you take race into consideration?
Oh, definitely don't take race. That would be and unethical. So yeah. No, yeah. To answer your question, no. Yeah, the only thing students apply, and if you look at our application form, it's just name, grade level applied to, and contact information. So
No testing?
No testing. No. So it's only based on students that apply. If we have a deadline for accepting those applications, if we have enough space by the time the deadline comes, we'll admit all those students. And then students who apply after that point, again, we'll admit them as space, or we'll put them on a wait list. If we don't have enough space by the deadline to accept all the students who apply by the deadline, then we'll do a lottery, and it's purely, random, just by name. So, yeah, and I'm sure Jeanette can speak more to it too, but certainly the diversity of the school and is very important to us, of the student body, and of providing equitable access for all students.
Well, if you think what you have is something that you want to share, and it's important that you access, what we want to see is that outreach to see that it's a balanced grouping within your school. And it hasn't changed much, because I'm looking at your
Demographic data.
Well, there's demographic data that was handed out to you here.
No, Donna, we're.
From Laura? I didn't bring it.
Oh.
I've been, was handed it. So, no, if you take it away, I can't look at it.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you at the end.
okay, okay, thanks.
End of the meeting.
Maybe that'd be something that was interesting to this group, maybe when you come back, it's some bullet points or some summary about what your outreach efforts are.
Absolutely.
And if they shared that, then you guys actually might have some suggestions about ways that the
Yep.
school could supplement their outreach.
Yeah, because there's a school next door, which is an elementary, that feeds to Latham.
That's right.
Prescott, right at the corner. There are two schools right next to each other. And that's another one of our concerns because of the amount of families that are coming there for two schools, it becomes.
A lot.
Yes. And to add another 100 plus might, it's just gonna happen. Simply, you have two schools touching each other, it's going to be a grouping coming there. People elementary are gonna be brought in. They're not getting on the bus and coming to school. And then the others who are being brought possibly in car or whatever, it does.
It adds up,
Yeah.
Keep to the fact, why does Prescott not have, why do they not need a conditional use permit if you guys?
It's a
need
public
conditional use?
school.
LUSD is exempt from a lot of those. I think my understanding.
It's just
Yeah.
charter is.
Yeah, my understanding is the requirement to have a CUP is based on the zoning, right? And so whatever zoning the LUSD has on that property, it didn't.
No, it's actually, this is Laura speaking. If you were located only in co-locations on LAUSD campuses, you would not need a CUP.
Yeah.
LAUS public school campuses are exempt under a state law. That makes them essentially community something others. I mean, it's a state law that was
planned for.
no, it was a state law passed in the early 90s. That essentially exempts all of the LAUSD and any other public school campus, meaning in other cities, they're for public schools. But charter schools, if they're on again, what do you call it, a co-locational campus, not a problem. They don't need a conditional use permit to be at 24th Street Elementary, but this location is, well, it's a church, basically.
Right.
I mean, it's permitted as a church. I do want to say I've looked at the demographic. I can't verify that these numbers are accurate. I can, however, verify the next sentence where it says this is primarily a Black community. It's not. The demographics that were utilized for the when they did the redistricting, we looked at them very closely, and it's about 46-47% Hispanic, 18% African, and 18% white. These are not going to add to 100, and 18% Asian for the broader area. So it's not primarily African American. There's some plurality, and probably your demographics don't match what I just said either, and would never, and you can't do anything about it.
Right. Well,
What I brought up was diversity. I didn't say bring in all Black.
No, I'm reading.
Prescott School
I'm just reading this where it says
next door.
a primarily Black community. And
No, that wasn't
correct.
what I.
Yeah.
Okay, what I was asking
Sure.
was a concern about diversity.
Well,
I don't know, it's not, Donna, where did we get this?
it was provided by a community member,
Oh, I see.
and just kind of, I don't want to say match here, but kind of.
So,
Did
you guys see?
take a look at it?
Yes,
yes,
yes.
Now you're sending it back. That's your. So in the meantime, there are questions about the diversity of your current student body that we have just discussed.
Yep.
But I was going to say, again, Laura speaking for AI, the last time we were together, and whenever that last group of hearings, we also talked about the diverse cultural heritage of this community as in part represented by your building. And we had asked for you to create a some sort of academic curriculum for a class of some history that addressed this community's multi-layered history and in particular the Armenian history, which I feel is a more compelling ask today than it was even then. I mean, America is a country of immigrants, and I don't think school curriculums usually address that in a way that they ought to be addressed. Coincidentally, I just personally attended a webinar on California's Armenian architecture, which is not really Armenian architecture, but the architecture of the Armenians in diaspora, building mostly churches, but other kinds of cultural institutions in California. Your building reflects the architecture that was discussed at the webinar I managed to. So I think I would make that ask more strong now, because we're living in an era where our young people ought to know more about that history. And I know you're not a STEAM school. I remember having this exact conversation. You're a STEM school, not a STEAM school, but we wanted you to add a little bit of that A into your curriculum.
Exactly, because where you are has a lot of history, and you know that.
Right, I mean, in the night, we had, obviously, this area was established by, those good Midwesterners, but by the 1910s, we started having one diaspora community after another, the Filipinos, Japanese, the Armenians, the Polish, the Ukrainians, there's this huge history of that. And you guys can do whatever you want because you're a charter school. So you should do this.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help.
I
I said that before, but I'm happier now to help.
Thank you, Laura. I love your history. I love what you know. Thank you for sharing that.
Right. And of course, I'm not avoiding African American history and the history of Latinos in Los Angeles. I mean, all of it, and not just.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot there, and there's a lot that can be taught at the middle high school age, not just the history of the California missions, which I imagine you do have to do at the.
Right.
I can't. No, that's me. That's my little cursor. So what do you think, Laura, again, what do you think the timeline is on submitting, especially after you've heard some things here?
Yeah. I just talked to Jane this morning, our attorney.
Jane Musher?
Yes, and she got an appointment for December 31st. So that's currently
what?
So we are required to submit a plan approval at least by January, because not just for these changes, but it was like one of the conditions was after PA3, it was 6 years later.
Okay.
So we do need to file at least by January. But certainly we want to be able to, incorporate the feedback and whatever we can do. So.
Well, and again, there's a difference between what you submit as an application, but I really think you need to have gone to OHR before you've gone to the desk on the 31st of December. Because if what you're designing doesn't meet Secretary of Interior standards, it's just going to send you back.
Okay.
And because you also indicated some window change. I mean, in other words, I'm not trying to say what you're doing is wrong, but I'm not the person who could say.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah, and I can check with Jane about that, because I do know she did talk to HBOZ planner, but
not the office.
I don't know about offices.
Okay, they're
so
in the.
I'll have to ask
so again, tell Jane this, because she knows me and I'm pretty blunt. It's the HBOZ planner. I know who it would have been, is not the right person.
Understood.
For Secretary of Interior standards for the building as a whole.
The jurisdiction is a little different, is what Laura's trying to say.
Well,
both approvals are likely needed.
Correct.
They are separate and they are both within the Office of Historic Resources, but they're two different pieces.
Understood.
Right, and the HBOZ does not deal with the Secretary of Interior.
Understood. Yeah. So yes, sir, absolutely. We'll get that feedback to Jane.
your prior consultant would not, as far as I know, is, and we're being recorded, so I'm trying to figure out how to say this, right now has distributed most of her workload to other consultants. I don't think she'd be available.
Prior consent.
Teresa Rex.
Oh, that's.
That
not
was your
ringing a bell
consultant.
For what?
Well, she was with Galvin, but she was your consultant.
Oh, okay,
She's
I
not
wonder
with
if that
Galvin
was done. I wonder if that was done before we moved in by the
That was the
developer.
gunning of the building person.
Okay, well,
So,
well,
but I
we
don't
can
think
look
she's
back.
available to you
Okay,
at this moment in time.
okay,
And,
okay. Yeah, so certainly, yeah, we'll.
so we'll talk
We'll take
offline.
that. Okay, great, yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm David. You got a CUP and now you're asking for another CUP.
it's the same CUP. The way CUPs are, it's called plan approval. They can subtract, I mean, well, we just went through this on a liquor store. They asked for plan approval to remove conditions. They were not granted. So a plan approval can be
Modified.
conditions added, conditions eliminated, conditions altered. A plan approval might be required as a periodic approval. That sounds
Right.
like you have a periodic
Right.
approval. They're almost always required when the operator changes. You know, because again, many conditional use permits are for things like liquor stores.
And the number of students would not require a new.
It does,
Well, it requires at least a change to that condition.
because that condition.
I think it's condition 2 or 3. It set limits it to 550, so as part of the plan approval, we would be requesting to increase that to the 675.
But for example, and you can read the plan approval if you go into our agenda packet, because it's up there. So I looked at it and realized that, for example, the last one changed an original condition. So one of the original conditions was never ever shall you have filming. I mean, you probably have never had filming, but the new condition allows it a couple of days a year.
That's right. That's right.
But they've never had it, but that condition was changed between PA2 and PA3, and you can see it change because there's crossouts.
Yeah, and I think to that point, this is Eric speaking, the original CUP was actually occupancy of up to 700 students.
And then it got reduced.
And we reduced it, that was kind of as part of that, I think it was plan approval 2, when we moved in. We felt like, oh, we don't need to have more than 550 students here, and so we changed that condition, but again,
Now they have to. they're
now
asking
we're-
to change it again.
yeah.
Also, part of your CUP or part of your conditions were security outside
Yeah.
overseeing.
Correct.
I've not noticed them.
Yeah,
Definitely there.
yeah, so we have during pickup and drop off time, so in the morning when students are entering, we have at least one staff person in a high-vis vest located at each driveway.
Okay.
And then at least one person that's kind of roaming up and down Adams to look for, again, try to enforce, people who are pulling over and trying to drop off on the street, and then the same thing in the afternoon.
Donna, can I say, this is Laura again, these are the kinds of conditions we would have liked to see at the other schools that blocks all that creates all that traffic issue on Manhattan Place.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, so that school ought to be required to have a conditional use permit, but has not been.
I'll win you whenever you want it.
Everybody has to read that.
Okay,
I just have a question. Yeah, what happens to these 125 students if they cannot be added to this campus? What happens to them?
Yeah, so like I said, we're looking for other buildings. We looked at a building on Western and 24th. That used to be, I think it also used to be an ISEF campus. It's across from 24th
but
Street.
that's gonna have worse traffic issues.
That right? Yeah, it's quite small.
It's on Hobart.
Um,
one block east.
No, I'm talking about the one
No.
that's actually on Western.
Correct, but the parking and.
Oh,
You
okay.
can't use
Next to the
Western.
church.
It's next to the church, so that school was this is Laura speaking, ISEF had a campus that faces Western.
Correct.
But its access point was Hobart.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Straight
realize.
behind it.
Okay,
There's parking behind it and it was a nightmare.
got it. Got it. Okay, that's good to know. So we're looking for other options like that.
Okay.
Beverly, I think, you know, and we still have the option to stay on the 21st Street campus in the short term. I think it's not ideal for our students.
Well, Laura speaking again, I'm curious, in an era when enrollment is dropping.
Yeah.
Why is LAUSD charging more? Is it because they don't have the money from the other kids?
Yeah. Yeah. I can't speak for the district, but I think that's a good theory. I mean, I know that their budget is in trouble, so I think.
Shared campuses are a problem overall, okay?
It is a challenge. It definitely is a
Yes,
challenge
it
to
is.
share the
So,
campus. It is.
Money or not, it just.
That is true. That is true.
Chemically works.
Yeah.
As a former teacher, I know what I'm talking.
Yes.
So for your existing campus at 24th Street,
Mhm.
you do not participate in the Garden School Foundation application, or you do?
We don't have right now. We have in the past. We don't have a partnership with them right now. I think I'm not sure of the reason.
Well, it probably cost you even more.
So it is a beautiful camp. They do have the campus is beautiful. They have a lot of nice resources.
Okay, so we will be offline and talk a little bit.
Sure, great.
And or even after this meeting, and your anticipated submittal is December 31st in the morning, because they know they close their doors.
I think it's 2:30.
Oh, do you think they're really gonna show up? I mean, the office is closed. Okay, anyway, and at that point, there's still another 8 months.
That's right. Yeah, it's gonna be
If it's even deemed complete that day,
That's true.
your application.
That's true. They may decide.
Okay,
So yeah,
Okay.
so we can definitely work on. This is Eric. We can work on the requests that were made tonight. When do you think it would make sense for us to come back?
well,
You and I just be in touch about that.
okay, we should be in touch about that. I mean, I think what we're gonna wanna do is 2 more meetings, unfortunately, because we wouldn't wanna vote until much closer to where you're having
Of course,
hearing,
of course.
because we don't know what other twists and turns
Of
you might
course.
face at the planning department. But we would certainly want to have the answers to the questions asked tonight.
Yeah.
Much sooner than that. So
Okay.
I would say we're gonna have another kind of consultation meeting.
Sure.
And then a real decision-making
Okay.
meeting would
Okay.
be my guess, and I don't know the timing, but
Okay.
does
That's
that
fine.
sound right to everybody?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
I've got one other comment. This is David. You've got 2 banners outside, and they're not supposed to be there, I don't think.
Okay. One with the banners on the fence.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause
Okay.
I believe there's a permitting process.
Okay. Okay, we can look into that.
It's only a certain number of days.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Didn't
We'll
we
look into that.
funded, UNNC funded a banner.
On the
for
next door
restaurants.
school, because they don't have the rules. They can have as many, public schools can have as many banners as they want. Don't fall under other city rules.
They're USD schools. Charter
Right.
schools are public schools, I'm sorry.
I understand.
Yeah.
The actual, LAUSD campus schools can have banners because they do whatever they want.
But why would we put that restriction on a
We-
school that's right
No,
next
that
to-
might be sign rules from building and safety.
Is that what you're saying, David? Oh,
Yes.
So I do have,
Okay, we can look into that. Thanks.
well, Laura has one other question.
Yes.
We've lately, UNNC, we're working on a master greening project,
Oh, great.
and we don't know what that means yet. But part of what it means is we want more park-like spaces or actual park
Great.
spaces, and a bit better tree canopy, and more
Yes.
biodiversity, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we're working on a plan. And so I don't know how green your parking lot is.
Yeah,
But maybe.
yeah, it's getting better. So one of the conditions that I believe it was either in the original CUP or the first plan approval before I moved in was that there should be 14 trees planted. It's like one for each.
Classroom?
No, it's number of parking spaces.
Yes.
Now, I was thinking it was for 8 parking spaces, but the math doesn't add up. Anyway. So we did plant the trees when we moved in, and a couple of them, most of them did. A couple of them did not make it, but we've been replacing them as they've sown. So they're kind of in varying sizes, but some of them are getting quite big. Yeah.
But also, if you do actually think you have too many parking spaces, you might want to consider a little more green.
Yeah.
I mean, in other words, one of the things we're doing is looking
Gotcha.
at campuses. So like,
Understood.
you know, Pico, which is not a charter school, but it was a co-location. Anyway,
Got it.
they ended up being in one of the dozen partnerships with Play LA. And they are now a park when they are not in session. I mean, I'm saying it's not, I mean, they're still a school, but it's a.
So it's open to the community.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's recreation and parks, the department actually runs programming
that's
there
great.
and everything.
That's great.
And so that's a really good example of green, as is 24th Street School for a
Yeah.
different reason, the,
Yeah.
you know, the whole 1 acre
Native
garden.
and- yeah.
Well, it's a 1 acre garden, they do cafeteria to compost, I mean, that's
Yeah.
a whole other program.
Yeah.
And now some community members are working on 6th Avenue School, which is in Jefferson Park, and Teresa led an effort to plant trees.
That's right. I remember we presented that about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
It makes a big difference.
Oh, right, but they're now trying to get green onto the campus as well.
Nice little garden on their campus.
Right. So it might be worth thinking about how to join that effort.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
Excellent.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of on that topic, it's a selfish question. Do you guys teach GIS at all? You don't teach geographic information systems?
No.
Or am I
I don't think so, unless it's part of the curriculum.
It's one of the units, but I don't think so. I'll let them know.
Well,
Write it down.
Because you want to learn it?
No, I mean, you can, Esri, the company, the biggest company, technology, they actually do their own tutorials. Now I have a selfish reason, because I have like a dream of using GIS to pull up the existing network of bicycle, class 1 lanes, class 2 lanes, class 3 lanes, and then also identifying places where there should be bike lanes much more creatively, like our alleys, for example, like the shoulders on the freeway, there's a gigantic space at the top of so and I was just thinking that students would be a very great
That would be a good
audience
project.
for students, because it's so multidimensional, and it could really, your students could really make a name for themselves and kind of marching that effort out in the world. So that's a selfish pet project.
That's a
of mine.
great idea.
So if you asked every single person in this room what their pet project was, you could get a whole curriculum that you have no time to teach.
Sure. And we do have a little space in the back of where the school is actually located that we've allocated for a little garden. So we're doing our best
Yeah,
with the
we're
space that we have.
Okay,
Okay, well, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I have a couple of cards if anybody wants them. In the meantime, so Laura and I will be in touch, but in the meantime, if you'd like to come visit the campus or take a tour.
I would like to visit and take a tour.
Excellent, great.
I'll
So,
give you a call.
yes, please. Yeah, that's the main office number on there. I can also write down my direct number.
Do you Prescott have anything in common?
I would say that we're friendly neighbors, so, if something happens in the neighborhood, we call them and say, do you have any idea what's going on? We do the same with them, we look out for each other's kids. I do think that having our security outside has been super helpful for them too, especially with their traffic, because our guys will kind of help our entrances are our egress and their entrance are so close to each other, so we're constantly looking out and just kind of helping each other. So friendly relationship.
Yeah, there you go. I wrote my cell number on
Okay.
it.
Okay,
We
So
do still
I'll
have
leave-
item on.
Okay, sure. I'll leave these here if anyone else would like to take a card, and so please, you're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you so much, you guys. We really appreciate it. Thank you for giving us this time. Eric took a bunch of notes. We'll go back and take a look at them and make sure we're prepared with that for the next time we get to see you guys.
Okay, so if you want to stay 5 more minutes.
Okay, yeah.
So the next item on our agenda would be follow-up to previous cases, ENS, old business. If there's any SB 79 update that we even want to talk about. Does anybody have any follow-up to previous cases, ENS or old business? That they wish to. Colleen,
Or.
and then Steve. Okay, Steve first.
I think the same thing.
He's saying Colleen first.
Two updates. We didn't get a chance at our last meeting to do a quick update on the liquor store at Arlington and Jefferson, which, came before us. They requested modifications to their conditional use beverage permit, which were denied. They're not adhering to their current conditions, but that's another issue. They're staying open well past 11 p.m. on a regular basis. So, but compliance is now another topic. So that's, good news. And thanks to everyone who participated in those meetings and lent support. And then there was a hearing last week on another conditional use beverage permit, just 2 doors down from the liquor
Colleen?
store. Yes,
Could you stop so we could just take a moment about the liquor store?
absolutely.
Okay, Steve.
So, because I think these are both important follow-up items and worthy of individual discussion. There were a number of issues regarding the liquor store at the hearing. You may recall that Hakeem had attended the hearing and brought up a number of issues that I followed up in my letter to the ZA. And in her decision, she essentially said she's not going to address the violations that were brought up. And I'm wondering if, I don't know if this would be part of this meeting or it has to be agended for another meeting, but I think a follow-up letter to the ZA from the UNNC would be appropriate about the violations that were identified by Hakeem and what Colleen is addressing now that the neighbors are experiencing, that they're actually open well past the time that was approved.
Yes, we would, it seems an appropriate thing, this is Laura speaking, for UNNC to write a follow-up letter. If we could have the draft of the letter, either, if you want to have discussion about it, the next Planning and Zoning Committee meeting is January 7th. If you want it to go straight to the board, I'm not clear when the board meeting is because it's not January 1, which is New Day.
So I think we could put together a draft letter.
Yeah.
We could put together a draft letter.
Right, so and just decide if you want the whole committee to review it or just go straight to board, just let me know what your decision is.
Okay, great. Colleen, would you agree with that process?
Yeah, that seems fine. And I'm gathering some data, so it's not just observations. It's, here's a period of time and here's photographic evidence of them being open past their hours.
Okay.
And just for other people that are here that may not have participated in these previous discussions, this is an issue with this liquor store that's been going on for well over a decade.
Correct. But this is Laura speaking, one of the issues that was brought to the zoning administrator's attention is that the applicant is no longer the operator of the liquor store. So that was one of the reasons why the application was denied.
That's one of the violations.
It's all of the above.
Yeah.
And, because the new operator, who's the one currently violating everything, also is who holds the license, right? So maybe Steve.
That's right. The license was sold to the new operator, but the previous operator owns the property.
Correct. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I just have a question. Did they say why they weren't addressing the issues right now?
Well, because the application, yes, Laura speaking, the application was a PA whatever number, just like we're talking about here, plan approval, in which they were asking to change the conditions. And the ZA basically said, no, we're not going to change the conditions. That's what the application was for. And I think there's a sentence in there somewhere about we're gonna look and see if they're gonna follow the conditions, which, so the letter should quote, whatever that sentence was, somewhere buried in the determination letter. That's how we should start out the
But
letter.
I think to the point that the question that Beverly's raising is that I believe, and it's a long letter and it's
Very
quite repetitive. But I think that what the ZA was saying is that she was asked to review very specific things.
Correct.
And that these are new issues that were brought up, that she decided to only focus on those things that were part of the application. So that's why I think we need to reopen this and get her to look deeper at the violations that are pretty serious that happened in the transition between the operators.
Right, and technically, there's always some condition in a conditional use permit that gives the zoning administrator, not the AZA, but the city zoning administrator, the ability to call a plan approval hearing. So that would be a new plan approval to answer
address
these
the
questions. Yeah. Holly,
So then another update would be that there was a hearing last week, which many of us attended. Thank you to everyone who attended for a conditional use beverage permit at 2131 Jefferson, a few doors down from this liquor store. And again, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask to agendize, but some new information I think came up during that hearing.
right.
And there is some new information, I would say, in the case file, which I went down and scanned on Friday. It could be appropriate for the neighborhood council to revisit its previous recommendations to support that application, because there is some new information. And I would say, off the top of my head, and those of you who attended the hearing, or Steve wasn't able to make the hearing, but he may have an opinion. Off the top of my head, I'd say some new information that was raised was that the neighborhood council had suggested a condition on that conditional use beverage permit that the hours for liquor sales be restricted to 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. And the zoning administrator, or the assistant zoning administrator, said that the city cannot weigh in on any conditions related to alcohol sales. So if the zoning administrator can only say what their opening hours can be. And so that would establish the outer window of when alcohol sales could occur. ABC can go in and make those hours the same or shorter, but they can't, the zoning administrator can only say when they can be open. And so in effect, if that particular establishment was restricted to being open from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m., then that would be the only hours that the business could operate.
Right.
So, which sort of obviates the use that they have described to us, which was as an art gallery or a museum. So that's one issue. And the other thing I would say that I saw in the case file is that business has actually been getting 1-day liquor permits from ABC, which was not information that was shared with us.
Well,
For an event.
they're doing events in museum,
What's this property?
Hidden History
The Hidden
Museum,
History Museum, okay.
which is very well hidden.
It's very.
I've heard of it, but yeah.
So
Right.
when you
Colleen, I think you meant to say that they're getting the 1-day license from the LAPD.
No, from ABC.
Oh, I thought that the approval was coming from LAPD.
ABC.
Right,
Okay,
for
thank you.
events to serve alcohol.
LAPD is aware of the fact that they are getting 1-day licenses.
Yeah.
None of the rest of us, I don't think, were aware of that.
Correct.
So I would say, this is just my personal opinion, is if they are able to have the occasional events that they said they would need to have in order to do some fundraising for their museum using 1-day permits, then it doesn't seem like they need a conditional use beverage permit unless they have other unarticulated
Right.
desires.
So I too, Laura
And I
speaking,
believe that's part of it.
Laura attended the hearing, so you'll remember I did say the soonest. Because we had a situation that has mitigated, but since I already made it in public, The soonest we could have them back to planning and zoning is what I said was on the 21st. But that I also thought that it would maybe perhaps be better for them to have a community meeting in the museum, but UNNC could not call it a UNNC meeting. We could promote. And I don't know which should come first, that chicken or the egg. I kind of feel since the case file is open till April 1. It would be, to my mind, it'd be better to have that community meeting first. And then another, what is that, bite of the apple, like you guys have been wanting me to schedule after the community meeting, because I want to know what the community thinks after that meeting.
But the problem is that they don't have a certificate of occupancy for their current use, and I would not be comfortable asking community to be in a space that does not have a certificate of occupancy that's appropriate for the use. I just don't think that's safe.
They actually don't have one?
It's for retail. They have a condition, they seem to have a certificate of occupancy for retail.
Well, this is Laura speaking. Clearly, one of the explanations we would like, since they've applied for the certificate of occupancy, probably want to know why.
They did not. It was applied for before they owned the property.
But it still was applied for to be an art gallery.
Yes.
Right, and it's not yet issued. It's still pending.
Not as far as I can see.
Yeah, no, I'm right. It's not yet issued. It shows as pending. And sometimes that can be an annoying thing, but we should, I'll call them, just ask. Can you get your certificate of occupancy before that April 1st?
The zoning administrator has also asked that question.
Yeah.
There was an email on the file from the zoning administrator asking the planner to follow up with the applicant to find out.
Oh, okay.
But that is not.
So what I'm saying is I'm not even sure January 21 seems to be the right date. But and I'll just explain the reason I had said that was I wasn't sure at the time of our hearing if UNNC was going to be deemed to be in compliance with the new laws, SB 707, that takes effect on January 1 for a virtual meeting. We now have been told by Dunn we are in compliance, so we can go ahead and schedule our regular January meetings. But at the time of the hearing, I was uncertain about that. Steve.
So what I've heard from the community is that no one objects to the presence of a museum, but people have serious concerns about a museum masquerading as an event space.
Yes.
Wait, so that being said, and the lack of a certificate of occupancy for the use that they want, which also would include fire safety.
Mm-hmm.
My concern is that since no one has a question about the operation of a museum, and in fact, the community has very much applauded a museum moving to the neighborhood, especially one that's interested in African-American history, that a neutral place for such a community meeting would be preferred, such as the library.
Okay, well.
It's not a matter of selling people on the concept of the museum. I think there are a lot of issues, from what I understand. I unfortunately was not able to attend the meeting, but I wrote a very strong letter, and I've heard from neighbors about the meeting, the hearing that is, that there are serious questions about the ability of the community to trust these operators with a permanent alcohol license, which then travels with the building, right? So that's opening up the building to future uses when the museum leaves that may not be consistent with what the community wants. So I think the concept that Colleen is articulating here about continuing as a museum and continuing to do their one-off events with a single-use permit makes much more sense in the community than the idea of them getting a permanent license.
Agree with that.
Agree.
Okay, well, noting that we can't control the license, we can't control anything, but
If the ZA does not approve the Cub, then
Correct.
ABC will not give them the
Not
license.
I understand.
And you don't need a cub to get a one-day license.
I
Right.
understand too. I'm just saying, we're engaged in the CUB, or the conditional use beverage permit.
And they don't
process.
need a CUB to get one-day license.
I'm not arguing about that. I'm just saying, we're not writing letters to the ABC.
You know, How often are you allowed the 1-day license?
I have not gotten an answer to that question. I'm not sure that there is a firm number on it. I think it might be that you've seen maybe when you apply for a lot of them, it raises a red flag. I'm not sure.
Flag should be up.
Well,
It should be flat, should be
Well,
raised.
If they,
I saw it,
if.
I heard it.
If what they were saying, what is true, they have one event every few months. I don't know if that is true. Please don't.
Yeah, well, he has
I
5
don't know.
kids.
I don't know,
He's a
I
good
don't
father.
know, I don't know. But I will also remind you, who was that theater guy? Do you remember the guy who was doing the theater events?
Oh, at the house, yeah.
At different
Oh.
houses, yes, yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
able to get like 45 days a year, so, you know, it's not very limited.
That's more than
I
three,
know.
that's less than 365 though.
And
And I had an event on Friday night after the hearing on Thursday. In which.
You mean separate
in-
from the one you're
in
having
which-
this Saturday?
Uh-huh. In,
Okay.
in that hearing in which I was told that my firsthand testimony being 12 feet away was quote, not factual, unquote.
All right, okay, well, we're not going to take
Thanks for the
any
video.
action tonight. And the soonest, because I had said it in the public venue, soonest I could schedule something, it's the 21st of January, but I do feel that it should be deferred a little longer than that. So that, I have to give them the right to try and have a community meeting. You just have to
Absolutely.
do that.
Absolutely.
So, okay, Steve, is your hand up again or is just still? Okay.
Yeah, to your point here, Laura, I agree that they should be given the opportunity to host a community meeting, preferably at the library or some other venue outside the museum. But what I'm concerned about is that they will delay a public meeting and thereby delaying the UNNC's ability to take legitimate action. So I would just hope that they don't try our patience, but if they're not active in scheduling a meeting, I hope that this committee can move forward regardless.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm not gonna just. I will follow up. I'm not gonna just let them dangle and do what they're probably gonna do, which is screw themselves by not holding this meeting. I'm gonna point out they need to hold this meeting.
Could I
mean,
suggest that we do include this item as an agenda item for the 21st? And if they don't hold the meeting, we can make a decision at that point, if they haven't even scheduled it, of how to move forward.
I will, can I just say tentatively, yes?
Yeah.
And only because I just don't know what other things, I mean, there's so many other things that are pending right now that yes, tentatively.
It's just time
Because-
moves so quickly, and this is a
Because
serious
Steve, you
matter
don't
for
even
Jefferson
know.
Park.
Because I also sent you an email earlier today about, hey, oil and gas drilling new ordinance. I don't know if you saw the email, because we need to schedule something on that too. We don't need to talk about that now, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of things pending for us, and we have 2 people who want to get home.
Agree.
Well, we have a room full of people who want to get home, everybody wants to get home. So with that, I don't think we really have much more to say on SB 78. Other than the maps that were already published may or may not be the actual maps that will show where the more density is, and that's something that Southern California Association of Governments has not released yet. And speaking of the Southern California Association of Governments, I did file a public records request with them for a copy of the City of LA's grant proposal application for the objective design standards for historic districts. And that was after I left a message and got a phone call back saying, yes, we have the documents, but would you mind very much just following the procedure? So I filed on December 4th. And on Monday of this week, which would have been the 10 days, I got an email from the clerk at SCAG saying, we can take until December 29th, so we're gonna. And it's like, I wrote her back and said, have you read the California League of Cities actual description of what everybody's supposed to do, you don't have the excuse that there's 4 excuses. You have none of those exceptions. I will have to wait because you say I do, but you're wrong. Anyway, but so we're not gonna get this till around the time of your meeting, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 31st. So I mean, I don't think they're gonna relent, even though they're not doing this legally.
Has the letter gone out?
Yes, it has.
So the objective standards letter to Ken Bernstein went out?
It did.
Great. Would you send me a copy, please?
Sure, it's the same letter. Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Okay. And again, if you didn't see my email, Hunter is sitting now, not because he's sitting on it, but because he's really busy with work. We have 5 letters and 3 or 4 community impact statements in the queue to get uploaded to the website. I don't know which ones are gonna get first, second, third, whatever priority.
I think our guest had a question.
Okay,
Oh,
Oh, sorry,
No.
I'm sorry, I thought you raised your hand.
oh, and I didn't know.
all right. So I'm thinking the meeting can be adjourned, since we've had people leave.
I would have to, that, I would leave it to.
Going